Hey friends, welcome back to our channel. My name is Catherine Hubert. I am the owner here at Chez Genèse, and we have been this month in a little bit of a series around We've been in a series around disability bias, how to become more aware of our own bias, sit with that, kind of examine where we're noticing our beliefs or our narratives around disability play out, and then how to actually step into conversations with people in our circles around our own bias or bias that we may be seeing played out. And then today, what we want to talk about is what to do when we get it wrong. This is something that is kind of always on my mind, or in the back of my mind, sometimes in the front of my mind, in terms of being a business owner that has a business with a social impact, and then being in a somewhat public position around the areas of disability education and advocacy. All of those things are daunting and can oftentimes be overwhelming to me. And a big part of that is that I don't want to get it wrong. I want to be communicating well, and I want to have a business that's run well and with integrity, but it's also a human-owned business, which means that my success rate is not going to be 100%, and that is a hard thing for me to say with. I do not like to mess things up, and I definitely don't like to mess things up publicly. Says the girl who started a YouTube channel. So that all of this has been an area of lots of growth and lots of tears for me over the years. Lots of elevated heart rates and like panicky moments. So we're going to talk about that because there is, I think, and the reason it'll be different for all of us, but there is a very natural and normal fear of making mistakes, of getting things wrong, especially if those things can hurt or offend or damage other people. And so what do we do, knowing that we're not always going to strike gold in everything that we do? So when we do things that have a hurtful or a negative impact, how do we handle that, and what are some ways that we can approach that? We're going to talk about 4 different ways today that I have found helpful, and please know that that does not mean I am great at all of these things, but rather that there are things that I can identify are helpful and that I'm working towards, and hopefully with time getting better or growing stronger in. So the first thing, when I've realized that I've screwed something up, either I'm become aware of that myself or someone brings that to my attention, it's helpful to actually take a pause and take a breath. The reason it's helpful to take a pause and to take a breath is that gives a chance for our defenses to settle a little bit, either to not rise so high in the first place, or if they've already risen, for them to come down a little bit before we respond. My defenses can go up very quickly. I want to protect myself. I want to protect the people around me, and that's not helpful in terms of actually forging connection and being empathetic and understanding towards the humans that I have impacted. It's definitely effective in helping keep myself safe, but that's not the goal necessarily, especially in a situation where I've caused harm to someone else. So taking a pause, taking a breath, reminding myself that I actually am safe. It is okay that I've become aware of something that has gone wrong or not the way that I intended, and let those defenses come down. So that, step number 2, I can be honest with myself and I can be honest with the people that I'm communicating with. I say honest with myself and honest with others because I kind of go through a sifting process of like, let me receive the information that you're giving me, and being able to receive and understand what is true, what is reasonable. And I say those things simply because a lot of times when a wrong has been done, an offense has taken place, there's going to be heightened emotions. And it's important to listen and to validate and to pay attention to the emotions that are being brought to us, while also understanding that can impact the narrative, it can impact the situation. And so just because someone says something to you as feedback doesn't mean that all of that has to be received as your own truth or reality. I think there is a way to acknowledge where the other person is at, while also still acknowledging and understanding where you're at. So being honest about that, being honest with where you are and where the other person is, and holding both, and holding space for both, and understanding that both are important and both are equal. But you don't have to invalidate your own experience or your own understanding just because someone else has a different one. There is space in a room for both. Thirdly, and this is a big one for me, but to remember that your identity is still intact. And part of the reason why my defenses tend to go up so high when someone approaches me about ways that I've hurt them, or ways that I've just really missed the mark or messed things up, is because I tend to take that as an attack on my identity and who I am as a person. And there can be that fine line there between like, I am who I am does impact and dictate the things that I do, but the things that I do are not the fullness of who I am. I get real philosophical over here for a second, but I think for me, a lot of times my worth and identity can get wrapped up in the things that I'm doing and the way that I'm presenting to the people around me. And the more that I've been able to actually detach from that way of thinking and be confident and comfortable in who I am as a person, while knowing that I'm human and my person is going to mess things up. But I don't have to go to the extreme of, I hurt this person, so I am a terrible, no good friend who can't show up. Like that is not true. That is not who I am. But I can be a good friend who cares about other people and still was unaware and made a mistake and need to apologize for that. I can deeply care and have a lot of experience and understanding around disability, culture, and employment, and still perpetuate a wrong or incomplete narrative because I haven't done all the work that there is to do. Both of those things can happen at the same time, and then I need to learn and grow and apologize and move forward. It doesn't mean I'm a terrible business owner. I have no business being in this business. I can't. Who do I think I am? Like that's where, and I know that those are there's a lot of space in between those two extremes, but for some reason it's easy to go to one or the other. So just being willing to know that our identity does not have to be shaken by behavior or actions that have hurt or impacted other people. Lastly is the apology. So after you kind of gone through, I've taken a breath, I've paused, I've let my defenses come down. I've received the information and processed it and been honest with myself and validated and acknowledged the honesty in the other person. This is not an attack on my identity. My identity and who I am is still in place, even though I messed this up or I got it wrong. Okay, I'm ready to apologize. Why do those things need to come first? Because an apology isn't really an apology, I don't think, or you're in a place to truly apologize, unless some of that other internal processing has happened first. I mean, you can certainly give an apology without doing those other things first. But I do think there is a difference in the way that an apology is felt, received, delivered, when a true level of understanding and care for yourself and for those around you has taken place first. And then this is not new information, but I'm going to repeat it just because it's helpful as a reminder for myself and maybe for someone else too, that an apology should end with a period. Like, I am sorry for X, period. There are no and, but, extension of the sentence. I'm sorry for da 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 da, but da da da. Like, not a passive aggressive apology, right? Like, some of you probably have memories of receiving those in the past. I know I do. Like, I'm sorry that you got your feelings hurt. It's like, wait, what? I'm sorry that you're so sensitive. It's like, what? I don't think that's an apology. Like, I think that's actually kind of a dig at who I am. There should be ownership in an apology, and it just can be left as it is. I'm so sorry that my actions hurt you. Period. I am so sorry that I didn't pay good attention and that impacted you in this way. I'm so sorry that I, as a leader, as a business owner, did not do my due diligence and presented incorrect information. I am so sorry. Whatever it may be that we're apologizing for, I apologize to guests here. Like, I'm so sorry that you did not receive my best today. I've done this in the past. Like, my heart is that people feel welcomed in the space, and I did not do that for you today. I am so sorry. Like, that speaks to what was lacking or what was missed, and not feeling the need to defend or excuse, or, I'm sorry I wasn't kind to you, but you really weren't very kind to me either. It's like, no, we don't need to do that. Just like, I'm so sorry that I did not treat you in a way that communicated kindness and respect. That's on me. Thank you for bringing it to my attention. So those are my suggestions. We're going to get things wrong, especially in the area of bias. Some of those biases that we have and that we hold around disability have been ingrained in us for a long time, and it could be because they were ingrained in people before us for a really long time. So when you're working against systemic bias and issues, it's not going to be an overnight change, and there's a lot of nuance to it, and so we're going to be constantly reevaluating and understanding things that we didn't understand or evaluate before. So it's a very humbling process. Any area that you're seeking growth in is going to be a humbling process, but remembering that it's not the end of the world. There's a lot of good and a lot of hard that comes from being a human, and that makes our work messy, but that's where the deepness of community and doing life together, that's where I see that really click into place, and why community, I think, is such an important aspect of the work that we're doing, because it's impossible to do this kind of systemic change in isolation. We need each other to be able to be confronted with our own bias, our own missteps, and also to have people to celebrate and understand the wins with too. So thanks for being one of those people. Thanks for being part of our community, if that's online or if that's with us here in our little space in Greensboro. We appreciate you so much. If you don't already, please subscribe to our channel. That is helpful to gain more views and getting more eyeballs and hearts and brains in front of our content and spreading the word. So we appreciate you for that as well. Have a wonderful rest of your week. We'll see you next week. Bye. You're the only one left. I am the only one left. I will close out when I leave. Bye. See you next week. That's my mama. She's leaving. And fun fact is, there are quite a few of my family members who work. Well, not as many as used to. I have 2 family members who still work here at the restaurant. My sister Marjorie, who is one of our chefs and kitchen manager, and then my mom, who does our bookkeeping, which is a wonderful gift.